It's more than obvious to anybody with a couple of ojos and a little bit of discernment that there's a lot of different crises going on around the world right now. Yet despite all of these clear and obvious issues that we have, the elites that run the planet and tell us normal plebes what we need to do in order to adhere to their rules that they choose not to follow are now lecturing the entire planet from the lectern about what we need to do about, the weather. And naturally, because the world is trash, everything's on fire, and everybody is an emu with their head in the sand, these clown shoes had the audacity to take 400 private jets to this summit on, that's the joke. You don't even need a joke. That's the joke. Okay. And let me remind you, fellow peasant, the average private jet, and we're not even talking Air Force One size planes, emits 2 tons of CO2 for every hour of flight. The news articles about this event are especially hilarious, but one great quote is from the UK, Matt Finch of the UK's Transport and Environment Campaign Group. He said the total carbon footprint of an ordinary citizen, including everywhere they travel and everything they consume, is around 8 tons of CO2 a year. 8 tons. So the average person does 8 tons in an entire year. Yet these dudes will burn that on one jet in 4 hours. The Sunday Mail estimates that the jets just taken to the summit will blast 13,000 tons of CO2 into the atmosphere and will generate no more gas than 1,600 people burn in an entire year. Now, considering that much of the world, including even very official meetings, have been held in the last few years over the internet, and all of these world leaders have access to the highest grade and highest caliber and highest speed technology to ever exist in the history of human existence, you'd think that maybe they could have, maybe done a few Zoom calls for this event, or, maybe carpool a little bit with all these private jets, but no, of course not. It almost seems like they don't really care, but no, that couldn't be it. It keeps getting better. There was such an extraordinary traffic jam from all of these private jets flying in at the same time that some of the jets had to fly an additional 30 miles just to park. Now, I'm not even going to get into the fact that Slow Joe, Sleepy Joe took a nap while they were literally on the microphone just like, this is one of the most important meetings in the history of time, as Joe just takes a snozberry right in the view of cameras. But that's fine, he just represents the most powerful now. Okay, it's fine. Now, I'm also not going to talk about the 85 vehicle motorcade that Depends Joe took to this event. I'm also not going to talk about the Joey Hot Brown leaky diaper depends story that happened maybe or didn't. I don't know, because that's just a rumor or whatever, but that seems also fine. Now, I'm also not going to talk about the numerous, blatant, and obvious hypocrisy of all of these people wearing these diapeys for photos and then taking them off immediately, when you even watched a video of Angela Merkel getting out of her car, throwing on a diaper outside for 15 seconds for some photos as she walked into the building. As soon as she steps foot in the building, off with the diaper, that's fine. There's another great clip of this on today's Ron Paul Liberty Report, which you can watch on YouTube, where they literally show 5 or 6 of them standing up on the stage for a photo. You can hear all the cameras clicking, and then they say, okay, you can take the diapers off, and they immediately rip them off while they're standing in the exact same place, the same distance as they are from everybody else. This is a charade. But the real concern and threat from all this came from none other than Prince Charles, Duke of Edinburgh. It seems so cool in 2021 that we're sitting here listening to somebody who's the heir to the throne. Literally throne. Okay. Yeah, the prince. The prince. He called on the governments of the world to take on a, quote, war-like footing to solve this crisis. What? He said, quote, time has quite literally run out. And he's saying it's up to the richer nations in the world to marshal a, quote, vast military-style campaign to fight this. Bro, all I have to say is that the more than obvious next step is upon us. As soon as the fears or the purported fears of the clap start to dwindle, this is the next agenda. Because in the exact same way that you are told to do things for the good of the group, the good of everybody, these people will come to tell you now that these are the next things that they need you to do in order to be a good citizen and give back to everybody else. Even though these people, all of them, have had hundreds of millions of dollars eating and being in the lap of luxury for their entire lives. Yet now they're going to come and be the solution that they weren't able to see decades in advance. But now all of a sudden it's this big problem and they are going to fix it. Okay. Because there was an article in Forbes earlier this year in March where they talked about how locking everybody up and locking up whatever, the world, might be necessary every 2 years in order to meet the needs of this situation. But in the exact same way that everybody has been so flippant about paying attention to all of these things, let it be known that this stuff will never stop, and this is what's coming next, and it's happening right now. But whatever. What's DemiGlaze Garbato talking about today? Oh, we can't talk about ghosts? You shouldn't call them ghosts. They're spirits? Okay. Because you know who's casually absent from all of these things that they're going to do at this specific event? Oh, I don't know, just maybe the largest polluting country in the entire world. The one that's kind of coming for global, control, whatever. Can't talk about it. Great, cool, great, grand, wonderful. Anyways, yeah, so nothing from them. That seems fine. This is all just totally fine. It's cool. Okay. But hey, who cares? It's not even like Joey Basement is actually begging these other countries to produce more oil while we shut off our own ability to produce oil at the exact same time while saying we shouldn't be using oil. But whatever. Who cares? Who wants to really pay attention to this? Who's in the World Series?